Alyssa entered the boutique for a dress, but faced mockery from two snobbish saleswomen. Unbeknownst to them, a blogger recorded the incident, sparking public outrage. Soon, Alyssa was invited to an exclusive event, arriving elegantly in a luxurious gown, leaving the saleswomen squirming under her composed gaze. Alyssa entered the boutique confidently, shoulders slightly back, taking in her surroundings. She looked elegant and refined. Her chocolate-colored skin contrasted beautifully with the light cream pantsuit that highlighted her figure. Her hair was styled in soft curls, adding a natural grace to her look. She exuded dignity and inner strength, a woman who had come for something she had long deserved. The boutique welcomed her with muted shades of gray and beige, soft lighting, and meticulously curated displays where each dress looked like a work of art. The marble-tiled floors reflected the light, accentuating the refined design of the space. The aura of luxury and refined taste filled the air, and Alyssa knew she was in a place where each dress cost more than a typical monthly salary. She smiled to herself, imagining how the dress would look on her birthday, surrounded by friends and family. As she stepped forward, her gaze crossed paths with two saleswomen standing by the counter. Karen and Rachel, both in their 30s, wore stylish black outfits and blended seamlessly with the boutique's carefully crafted aesthetic. Karen had straight blonde hair styled in a neat updo, and a sardonic smile appeared on her lips as her eyes scanned Alyssa. Rachel, with short dark hair, crossed her arms and glanced at her friend, as if taking her cue. The two exchanged looks of silent agreement, as though Alyssa really was out of place in their world. They continued chatting, laughing, and discussing the latest fashion trends, not even pausing to acknowledge her presence. Alyssa felt a cold jab of contempt. Their behavior was more than simple indifference. It was an intentional show that she didn't belong in their circle, as if she didn't deserve to be there. Summoning her determination, Alyssa stepped closer and politely asked for assistance. Karen looked at her with a cold smirk, as though already knowing what she was going to say. Tilting her head slightly and narrowing her eyes, she responded, "I think this place might be too expensive." Her voice was even, but there was a tone of disdain in each word, as if she was speaking to someone who didn't belong in a place like this. Those words sounded like a sneer, as if to suggest Alyssa wasn't good enough for their boutique. Alyssa's anger simmered inside. She felt the sting of insult, the sharp desire to respond, to show she not only belonged here, but was fully entitled to be here. But, restraining herself, she decided not to let her feelings show. Keeping her breathing steady, she watched the saleswomen's behavior, realizing this was just the beginning, and that she wouldn't let their arrogance go unanswered. Alyssa took a steadying breath as she approached Rachel, her heart pounding but her face a mask of calm. She could feel the weight of the glances from the saleswomen, as if they had already judged her the moment she walked in. But she kept her voice polite, asking, "Could you help me select a dress?" Despite Rachel's thinly veiled hostility, Alyssa clung to the hope that one of them might still act professionally, giving her the assistance any customer should expect. Rachel's reaction was immediate and unmistakable. She lifted an eyebrow, her lips curving into a faint, mocking smile. With a tone thick with disdain, she replied, "You may want to check out the sale section, across town." Her words were carefully chosen, each one a jab, leaving little doubt that she assumed Alyssa couldn't afford anything in this boutique. It wasn't just a suggestion, it was a dismissal. Alyssa felt a surge of anger rise within her, but she kept her gaze steady, refusing to let Rachel see how much her words had affected her. This was not the first time she'd been underestimated or subtly insulted, and she knew it wouldn't be the last. But she was determined not to let these two have the satisfaction of seeing her falter. Taking a deep breath, she straightened her posture, meeting Rachel's eyes squarely as she responded with a tone as firm as it was composed. "I came here to shop," she said, her voice steady, "and I'm not leaving until I receive the same level of service as any other customer here." For a split second, Alyssa's confident words seemed to throw both Rachel and Karen off balance. Confusion flickered across their faces, as if they hadn't expected her to hold her ground so unyieldingly. They exchanged a quick, uncomfortable glance, realizing that perhaps this encounter wouldn't go as smoothly as they'd anticipated. It was clear they were used to people backing down, but Alyssa's calm determination had shaken their assumptions. Despite the brief moment of uncertainty, Rachel and Karen quickly regained their composure, their faces hardening once more. They weren't about to let a customer disrupt their carefully cultivated air of superiority. Rachel folded her arms, her gaze sharpening as she tilted her head, as if to say that she was still in control. Karen, meanwhile, resumed her own haughty posture, her lips pressing into a thin, dismissive line. It was clear they intended to make this as uncomfortable for Alyssa as possible, standing shoulder to shoulder as if forming a united front against her. But Alyssa wasn't backing down. She stood her ground, her expression unwavering, refusing to let their arrogance push her out of the store. A quiet confidence radiated from her as she silently communicated that she wasn't intimidated, that she wasn't someone who could be easily brushed aside. The tension in the boutique was almost palpable as the standoff continued, each party silently sizing up the other. And while Rachel and Karen held their heads high, there was an underlying tension in their stiffened posture, as if they knew Alyssa was not just another customer they could easily dismiss. When the blogger entered the boutique, she immediately noticed the awkward scene. Alyssa, standing with dignity and calm, demanding fair treatment, and the two saleswomen, their faces showing a mix of irritation and arrogance. Sensing a story, the blogger started recording. Standing aside to avoid disrupting the scene, she watched every word and gesture closely. As it became clear the saleswomen intended to continue disregarding Alyssa's request, the blogger stepped forward and, with polite but firm words, addressed Karen and Rachel. "Why aren't you helping this customer? It looks like she's simply asking for what any other customer would receive." Karen and Rachel flinched, as though caught off guard. They exchanged glances, clearly unprepared for someone to intervene and start asking uncomfortable questions. At first, they tried to justify their actions, muttering something about a misunderstanding and service style, but the blogger pressed on. She continued asking questions, reminding them they were being recorded. Now, neither arrogance nor resentment could hide their unease. They struggled to find words, trying to explain their behavior, but the more they spoke, the more it became apparent that their treatment of Alyssa was no accident, but a deliberate choice. Alyssa, observing how the saleswomen faltered under the pressure of the camera and questions, took a step forward. In a calm, confident voice that everyone in the store could hear, she said, "I just wanted to buy a dress. I believe I have the right to do so." Her words carried such assurance and dignity that silence fell over the room. Even the few other customers, busy with their own shopping, stopped to see how this unexpected confrontation would end. The arrogance had vanished from Karen and Rachel's faces. They stood with lowered heads, clearly realizing that their behavior, now captured on camera, could no longer be brushed aside or covered with false excuses. The story of Alyssa's experience in the boutique had spread like wildfire online, capturing the attention of thousands who were appalled by the blatant disrespect she endured. Comments poured in from all corners of social media, with people expressing their outrage and demanding accountability from the boutique. Many condemned the saleswomen's dismissive attitudes, while others shared similar experiences, fueling a collective call for change. The momentum grew quickly, and soon the boutique was facing a serious public relations issue. Management could not ignore the backlash. In a swift attempt to mitigate the damage, they announced that Karen and Rachel had been suspended indefinitely. Alyssa received an official apology from the boutique's representatives, who extended an invitation to her for an exclusive event as a gesture of respect and reconciliation. The evening of the event arrived, and Alyssa prepared herself carefully. She chose one of the boutique's gowns, an elegant, deep emerald dress that accentuated her figure and radiated sophistication. When she stepped into the boutique, heads turned. The dress flowed perfectly, a seamless blend of grace and confidence that made it clear she was the guest of honor. Alyssa's entrance set a striking contrast to the treatment she'd received before. Now, she was the center of admiration, the embodiment of poise and elegance. As Alyssa moved through the boutique, engaging with guests and graciously accepting compliments, she noticed Karen and Rachel standing off to the side, watching her with evident discomfort. Their earlier smugness had vanished, replaced by a subtle unease, that they couldn't mask. Their faces betrayed the tension of realizing the impact their actions had caused, their embarrassment now a public consequence. They exchanged glances, but avoided approaching Alyssa, keeping to themselves as if trying to remain invisible. Throughout the event, Alyssa remained composed and dignified, her every action underscoring the grace with which she'd handled the entire ordeal. She spoke warmly with other guests, her voice calm and confident, embodying the resilience that had brought her here. The satisfaction she felt was deeply fulfilling. This wasn't just about the apology or the event. It was about having stood up for herself, becoming a catalyst for respect and equality. Her story had reached thousands, resonating as a testament to the strength it takes to demand fair treatment. Alyssa left the boutique that evening with a renewed sense of purpose and self-respect. Her quiet strength had made an indelible impact, not only on the store employees but also on the larger community that had supported her journey. She understood now that the experience had become something greater, a reminder that dignity and respect should be extended to everyone, regardless of appearance, background, or status. Her journey had touched countless people, a lesson in resilience that would be remembered by all who witnessed it.